What's up, hello? My name is Emma, and today I am doing the Diviners book tag. This is an original tag created by myself along with two of my very best booktube friends, Monica Kim and Sarah without an H, and we have created this tag inspired by the Diviners series by Libba Bray. If you have not heard of the Diviners, it is an incredible YA paranormal series set in 1920s New York City, and it follows a variety of different characters who have supernatural abilities, as there is what seems to be a ghost that is causing some murders around Manhattan. The Diviners is one of my favorite book series, so I'm super excited to announce that Sarah, Monica, and I are hosting a read-along for the Diviners series leading up to the fourth and final installment that is coming out this February. We are calling it the Diviners Club. It is a 1920s jazz club inspired readathon, and if you guys would like to read along with us and partake in some of the discussions, you can use the hashtag Diviners Club. These are the official months that we are going to be focusing on each individual book, but please feel free to take it at your own pace, start whenever and with whatever book you would like. We also are going to be having some Diviners Club live show discussions so that we can all discuss each book together. So these are the dates if you want to mark them down, and be sure to follow all of us on Twitter and Instagram if you want to find out the specific times and what channel they will be on. And one more exciting thing, if you are interested in joining in the read-along but you don't have copies of the books yourselves, we are each hosting giveaways for the first 3 books in the Diviner series. The giveaway is open to US and Puerto Rico only, but if you would like to enter, there is a rafflecopter link in the description, and from there you can sign in using your email or Facebook account, and you can do a couple other things on there to gain more entries and better your chances of winning. I am super excited to read this spectacular series alongside all of you, and I hope you're interested in coming to the Diviners Club. But today we are doing the Diviners book tag, and so because the final book in the Diviners series that is set in 1920 comes out in 2020, we thought we would make it a 20s themed tag. The first question is Roaring 20s, a 2020 release that you are super excited for. Obviously, King of Crows by Libba Bray is on this list, but I have to go with Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, and this is the first book in the new Last Hour series. Y'all know my love for the Shadowhunter world, but this is now the 4th series set in this universe. It takes place in the early 1900s, and it follows the children of some of the characters from the Infernal Devices series. Because Cassie Clare just loves to bless her fans with extra content from her books, I have already been getting to know a lot of the main characters in this series. Firstly, from some of the novellas like Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy and Ghosts of the Shadow Market, and she's also been releasing some like Chain of Gold flash fiction on her newsletter every month, so we get like some snippets and scenes from the book. I have to be honest, I was not super excited for the Last Hours a couple of years ago. I was like very focused on the Dark Artifices, and I wanted those characters in that story, but now that that's done, I am like brimming with excitement for Chain of Gold. I adore these characters already. I'm super excited to get a new novel from Just Cassie because her last couple of releases have all been co-written with other people, so I'm excited to see what she has in store just herself. This series is going to be so fun and so heart-wrenching, and I just really cannot wait. Our next question is our first bit of lingo, that's the berries. That is for a new release you loved, and I'm going to go with Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. This is a book that just got released this past September, but I've been talking about it for a couple of months because I read it before release, and it has truly stolen my heart. This is a 16th century Parisian-inspired fantasy that follows a witch named Louise LeBlanc who is on the run, and a witch hunter slash soldier named Reed, and the two of them basically get forced into marriage, but Reed has no idea that Lou is a witch. This book only came out in September, but I have been gushing about it for months because it is truly one of my favorite books of the year. I feel like it's been a while since I've had a fantasy story that I've really fallen in love with. I think sometimes it's just really hard to like get close to all of my absolute favorites, but Serpent and Dove is really up there. It has such rich world building, and the magic system included in here is very complex and different from like any other YA fantasy I've read. I fucking love Louise LeBlanc so much. I recently gushed about her in my fictional crushes video because Lou is totally fictional girlfriend material. And one of the things I appreciate the most about this book is that it really goes on a journey itself. Like, where the story starts is so far from where it ends. The characters go through a lot of development, the plot changes course, which is always exciting, and it was just a really, really well-written debut. I truly love this book so much, and if you are also a fantasy lover on the hunt for like the next big fantasy, this is definitely one you should try out. Question 3 is Now You're on the Trolley, which essentially translates to Now You've Got It Right. This is for a series where it took until book 2 for it to get good. Now, I thoroughly searched not only my bookshelves, but also every book I've ever marked on Goodreads for the past like 5 or 6 years, and I could not find a single instance that I thought was strong enough to answer this question where I liked book 2 and the subsequent books more than book 1. I am notorious for loving the first book in a series, but it is the following books that typically don't strike me as much. And there definitely have been a few instances of me liking the sequel more than the first book, but typically if it's a series, I won't like book 3 or book 4 as much, so I feel like those situations also can't fit for this question. So I don't have an answer. Question number 4 is Blue Nose, or a Killjoy, so a book that put you in a reading slump. For this answer, I'm going to go with Air of Fire by Sarah J. Maas, which I don't think I've ever actually used for one of these questions, even though I think it applies pretty well. So I read Air of Fire for the first time back in 2014, and it took me a full month to read. That may not sound that long, like I'm sure there's a ton of people where it would take them a full month to read a book like this, maybe even longer. But at the time, I was finishing like big fantasy books like this in like no more than 5 days. Like 3 to 5 days was my average at the time for completing a book. So this was like a true anomaly. I just really was not vibing with it. I was not the most attentive reader at the time. There were tons of perspectives and different storylines, and I really was only interested in a lot of what was covered in the first 2 books. So it just didn't resonate with me at all. I was like forgetting everything as I was reading it, and it was not an enjoyable experience. And then back in like 2016, I decided to give Throne of Glass a second chance because I really did like the first 2 books and everyone loves this series. So I tried again. I was listening to the audiobooks this time, and even in a different format. Like, I had the very similar experience with Air of Fire, and I still have not finished the series because of it. I feel like I've never been in like an actual reading slump. I might have like a week where I don't reach for my book as frequently, but I've still been consistently reading every single week since like 2013. So I don't have a lot of experience with series reading slumps, but Air of Fire definitely slumped me with this series where I don't think I will ever finish it just because I can't get past this book. Question number 5 is Hotsy Totsy, which I feel has a few definitions, but the one we're going with is attractive. So we're picking a book with a beautiful cover, and I'm going to go with Wilder Girls by Rory Power. Let's take a moment to appreciate it. It's so freaking beautiful. I cannot get over it. I got to do a sponsored post with the publisher where I did my very best to recreate this cover with the sort of face spiral. It was a big process, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I actually got to attend a really cool event inspired by Wilder Girls, and there I met the author Rory Power, and we were talking about how much we all love this cover, and she told us that this actually isn't like a person. I had always imagined it was like a photo and then they had an artist go over and like draw over it, but it's like a totally original concept. I thought this book was good. I was a little let down near the end of it, but the cover never fails to blow me away. Question number 6 is Let's Blouse. That translates to let's get out of here, so pick a book that you DNF'd. I'm going to go with The 1000th Floor by Katherine McGee. Now, this is a book I really thought that I would love, and a lot of other people thought that I would love, but I think I might have only gotten like 10% through the ebook. There are definitely a few factors that are my fault which caused me to not finish the book, beyond the fact that I just really wasn't vibing with the story. Number one, I picked it up on ebook, and I have learned now that I just cannot read really long ebooks. Ebooks for me gotta be super short. And this is a really, really long, hefty book, so I don't know what I was thinking trying to read it on ebook. I have not picked up an ebook in a while, but I used to really enjoy reading one in addition to my physical reading and my audiobook listening, but I have learned that I really don't care about an ebook if it's too long. It's gotta be like under 200 pages, so that was a mistake on my part. And also, I had rented the ebook through my library, so I only had 2 weeks to read it, and I just was not picking it up enough, so I got to 10% and my loan was up. So that's the main reason I DNF'd the book. I didn't have access to it at the time that I wanted to read it, but I was not interested enough to seek out a copy and start reading it elsewhere. The writing was amateur. It was really slow in the beginning. I didn't care about any of the characters, and also there was like this low-key incest plotline that I felt come in, and I just really wasn't feeling it, which is like a weird hill for me to die on considering my favorite series is the Mortal Instrument series, but not the point. Overall, it just didn't retain my interest, and I don't think I'll ever give it another shot. And finally, for question number 7, we have Zoozled. Zoozled means drunk, so pick a book that gave you a book hangover. I'm going with a classic answer for me, and that is The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. This book follows a girl who was raped by her brother's best friend when she was 14, and it follows her through her 4 years of high school, showing how the trauma of what has happened to her manifests, and also the weight of her carrying this secret that she's never told anyone. This is a very heavy and emotional book. It's something you really gotta be prepared for going in, and honestly, I was not loving it in the very beginning, but as I got further into the story and realized how truly brilliant it is, I was absolutely hooked. But nearing the end, I listened to the last 5 hours of this audiobook basically in one sitting, which if you are not an audiobook listener, that is a lot at once. I had really started getting into the book when I was driving further out on the island, so I had a very long drive home where I just was so engrossed in the story, and when I got home, I still had like 3 hours of the audiobook left, and I was like, I cannot stop here. So I actually listened to those last 3 hours in the dark. I finished at 1 a.m. I was sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. It was a super moving and impactful read. It is definitely one of the most memorable experiences I've had as a reader in the last few years. And it's not that like I couldn't pick up any books afterwards, but I just physically could not get this book out of my mind once I had finished. Truly left a lasting impression, and if you were interested in reading books about serious topics like this, go with caution, but I highly recommend it. So that concludes the Diviners tag. I really hope you guys enjoyed and are interested in joining us for the Diviners Club read along. Check out Monica and Sarah's videos, and also don't forget to enter my giveaway for a set of the Diviners books in the description. I'm going to tag anyone who wants to participate alongside me in the Diviners Club read along. Whether it is your first time reading this series, if you're already a massive fan, or maybe you read the first book or two and just fell off along the way, you are tagged. And also let me know your responses to any of the questions, or if you have any thoughts on the books that I shared in this video. But that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new one. Bye!